right, readers, good morning. You can go ahead and get yourselves ready for today's class. You're going to open up your Unit 4 Reader's Notebook on Session 8, and you will take out your copy of The Circuit from our story, from our book, Stories from the Life of a Migrant Child by Francisco Jiminez. Just make sure you're ready for today's class. Just take those things out now. If you're the kind of learner who likes to have pen and paper, you might take out your learning binder as well. And just a quick reminder of our Zoom expectations for our Zoomies. Remember, we're on time, we're prepared, we're muted but visible, and respecting ourselves, each other, and the classroom community. All right, friends. So today we're going to be starting the second bend of our unit. In the first unit, we were focusing mostly on relationships between individuals. And now we're going to be moving into focusing on relationships between groups. So this is going to be really kind of deep thinking work. We're going to be thinking about issues that come up between groups, and we're going to really be taking some risks as readers today. All right, friends, so today through Read Aloud, I want to teach you that it's important for readers to notice when characters' issues are not personal, but group-related, and to consider ways that group-related issues affect characters and stories. And as with everything in literature, this is applicable not only to literature, but also to life. So friends, this is going to kind of be our work today. We're going to be considering which groups a character belongs to. And then when issues come up in the text, we're going to be asking ourselves, are these issues connected to a group that that character belongs to? And I just want to remind you of our chart. So we have our social issues can be based on chart. You've seen this before, but just a reminder, social issues can be based on social groups can be based on lots of different things, such as gender, socioeconomic status, interest, religion, sexual orientation, ability, that could be physical or mental, family structure, age or birth order, race or ethnicity, or the language community or communities that one is a part of. So we're going to, in a minute, be making identity webs, but I've done this work ahead, so I just kind of want to model for you how I did this thinking work. So I started with just a very simple Post-it note with my name. You all call me Miss Afolayan, but everybody else in my life calls me Amelia, so I went with that. And then I kind of thought through some of the different possible social groups to figure out which ones I'm a part of. So the first one that I thought of is kind of maybe the most obvious. So I am a part of a group of people who identify as women. So in the world, that's how I identify. And that comes with lots of awesome benefits, girl power, and sometimes it also comes with challenges. You know, sexism is a real thing. But that's not all I bring to the table. I am also a part of a group of people who love to read and write, right? That's what got me into this work in the first place. I love to share that love with my students. And again, I would say most of the time that is a really positive thing in my life. Although there have been times when I've been in groups of more math-minded people where I've gotten a little shade thrown my way, so there's that. Another one here is that I identify as Christian, so I am a part of a faith community of people who believes in the Christian faith. And again, right, there's positives and there are times when that offers great benefit to me, like when I'm in my faith community or in my church. And there are also some times where people have, you know, there's a lot of problems with the Christian church, and I understand that. And so sometimes I can kind of get stereotyped or grouped into a group of people who believe things that, even though we share the same faith, I don't believe. And then the last one I want to focus on is probably the one that maybe affects my life the most. And that is that I am the wife of a Black man. So obviously you see me, I'm white, I have light skin, I identify that way when I move through the world. That's how people identify me. But I'm married to a Black-skinned immigrant. And so that carries with it a lot of awesome benefits and some challenges. And so kind of an example of that would be, I love the fact that we come from two different cultures and have two different experiences, because I think we can kind of take the best of each of those and make something that's our own, that's unique, and that has kind of the best of both worlds, so to speak. And sometimes when we move through the world, people have thoughts or thoughts about our relationship, or otherwise just kind of call it out. So one example, last summer we were walking through our neighborhood. There's an ice cream shop down the street. We were going to get ice cream. It's like 7 o'clock on a Tuesday night or something. And as we were walking down the street, a car rolled by that I think had a group of teenagers in it. And they rolled down the window and yelled, "Salt and pepper!" at us. And maybe they just meant for that to be funny, but in that moment, it didn't feel, for us, and for particularly Toby, my husband, it didn't feel funny. It made us feel like there was a spotlight on us, or like we somehow didn't belong, even though this is our neighborhood where we've lived for many years. So friends, I'm going to leave this up as a reference, but what I want you to do now is do the same thinking work in your reader's notebook. So think about which social groups you're based on, or you belong to. Take about 5 minutes to do that now. All right, friends, so you've had about 5 minutes to do that, and I would love to have a few friends share out. What are some of the groups that you belong to, that you identify with? I can't see faces on Zoom right now, so we can just unmute ourselves. Sophia, did you have a chance to think about what social groups you might be a part of?
Yes, and some of the groups that I was part of is Christian. I'm a younger sibling. I'm German and Polish. First generation American, part of people who are learning German and Polish.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. Amira, did you have an opportunity to do this work?
Yes, I wrote that I'm a Christian. I'm part of the Roman community. I'm the descendant of immigrants. I'm a generation American, and I'm also from Cuba.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Amira. Alden, how about you?
I'm male.
Nice and loud, friend.
I'm male.
Yeah.
I'm Asian American.
Yeah. Okay, sounds like we might have lost your audio there. We'll come back, honey. Jerry, did you have an opportunity to do this work?
Yeah, I identify as a male. I'm Asian American, non-religious. I'm the younger brother, and I'm a first generation American.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for sharing those pieces of your identity. I think that's going to be really valuable to have sort of an idea of where we come from as we begin approaching the literature here in a minute. So I'm going to take this down and move this over here. And we are going to, in a minute, begin our read aloud for our text from The Circuit. So as we're reading, these are the 2 questions that we're going to be thinking about. Number 1, what groups do the characters belong to? And number 2, what issues are coming up for the characters because of the groups they belong to? And I really want to emphasize the second part. We're thinking about issues that come up because of their group, not necessarily because of their personality or their personal identity, though we will get to that in a moment. All right, friends, so we are going to go ahead and go on to the next, open up our read aloud text from The Circuit. You are going to open up to page 14 of that packet, and we are going to be tracking our thinking in the notebook page. Now, this is how I would track my thinking in my notebook page, so a simple T-chart with groups and issues, though you might choose to do that in a different way, and that's okay as well. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start reading now. This is page 1. Inside Out from The Circuit, Stories from the Life of a Migrant Child by Francisco Jiminez. I remember being hit on the wrist with a 12-inch ruler because I didn't follow directions in class, Roberto answered in a mildly angry tone when I asked him about his first day of school. But how could I? He continued. The teacher gave them English. So what did you do? I asked, rubbing my wrists. I always guessed what the teacher wanted me to do, and when she didn't use the ruler on me, I knew I guessed right, he responded. Some of the kids made fun of me when I tried to say something in English and got it wrong, he went on. I had to repeat first grade. I wished I had not asked him, but he was the only one in the family, including Papa and Mama, who had attended school. I walked away. I didn't speak or understand English either, and I already felt anxious. Besides, I was excited about going to school for the first time the following Monday. It was late January and we had just returned a week before from Corcoran, where my family picked cotton. We settled in Tent City, a labor camp owned by Shihei Strawberry Farms, located about 10 miles east of Santa Maria. All right, wow, readers, a lot has already come up, and I bet we could begin working on this chart now. So take a few minutes, think about what groups these characters are a part of and what issues have presented for them. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. What groups is Francisco a part of? And remember, we can always refer back to our social groups are based on chart, which is in your notebook as well. What groups is Francisco a part of? Sophia?
Some groups Francisco's a part of is he's a younger sibling, he's an immigrant, he's first-time student, he's Mexican, a Spanish speaker.
All right, I'm gonna pause you there. You're already giving us so much to work on. So I'm gonna start with younger sibling, immigrant, and Spanish speaker / English learner. Some people might call him like an English language learner, but I'm going to start with Spanish speaker because I want to kind of focus on what he can do really well, which is speak Spanish, and what he's learning to do. So we've got 3 groups already, and plenty of issues arose too. Did we see any issues in just that first chunk of text that might be related to one of these 3 groups? Jerry, did you find anything?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hotel speaks Spanish,
Mhm.
English. I don't think he knows much for any English
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah, so how is that creating an issue for him, Jerry?
Because he doesn't know English and he can't communicate with others in his classroom.
Okay, so I'm gonna put language barrier at school. Okay, any other challenges that are coming up? Any other issues that might be related to one of his social groups? Amira, did you find anything?
It's kind of like what Jerry said with the with the language barrier,
Mhm.
because he's getting hit with a ruler because he doesn't understand what the teacher's asking him to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm even gonna put the word violence because that's what he's experiencing at school. And remember, he's in 1st grade, so getting hit with a ruler must feel pretty severe. All right, friends, you are going to continue doing this work now in your book club book. So in a moment, you're gonna go into breakout rooms with your book club groups, and you're going to create a chart just like this, thinking about your book club books, the characters there, what social groups they might be a part of, and what issues might be coming up based on their social groups. All right, off you go. That's it. Thank you guys so much.